Hey folks, welcome to the channel. It's been a few weeks, so if you've been here before, thank you for coming back, and thank you for your patience. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I typically, thus far on the channel, have just been tying jigs and doing little tutorials, I guess. But in the future, I do want to get out on the water now that it's it's May, early in the first couple of days of May here. I do want to bring the camera out on the water in my kayak and do some filming out on the water as well, catching some smallmouth. So hopefully that will happen in the not too distant future. But for today, we're going to stick to tying jigs, and we're going to tie a pretty classic jig for smallmouth. So if you do fish smallmouth, there's a good chance that you've fished with this jig, and that is the classic black marabou jig. Not really a lot to it, and we're going to pair that. We're going to add a little bit of, this is a purple wing and flash. We're going to add a little bit of that in for some flash, but it's a kind of your standard, it's a very classic smallmouth jig. Lots of people use hair jigs, especially in the springtime. I find them to be effective all year long. Maybe not quite in the dead of summer, but certainly in the spring. And as you get into the fall, as the water cools, they're very effective. But I have had success throughout the summer using them, different kinds of hair jigs. All right, so we have a 1/4 ounce ball head jig in the vise, and we're going to be using some black flat wax 210 denier thread on this. This is sort of the standard what I use. And there's a couple of different ways you can tie in marabou. You can either just tie it directly in like you would other hair or other feathers, or you can palmer it in, and that's what we'll be doing today. So I could be tying this in from the stem here, but I will be tying it from the tip. And so you just want to find where that tip is here. That looks like it is, and then with marabou, I find it often helps if you wet your fingers a little bit, because it can get kind of all over the place. So we'll just tie that in and get the tip started here. And then we're just going to palmer this in, and that's just essentially just wrapping it around. And as you go, you always want to make sure that the little hairs are not getting trapped. Otherwise you'll end up with a very strange looking jig. But you're just going to wrap this around. If you have a set of hackle pliers, you can use those. I do have a set of hackle pliers, but I just prefer to use my hands to wrap it around. Maybe I don't trust my hackle pliers quite enough, I don't know. But be that as it may, this is what I'm doing. And yeah, you just wrap it and continually try to pick these pieces out, and to make sure that nothing gets trapped. If you have a bodkin, you can use a bodkin to help pick some of those trapped feathers out as well if you need to. Or you can use, I misplaced my bodkin, so I don't know where it is. So I just undid bent out a paper clip, and that's what I use now. So it works just the same. Use whatever you can if you need it. And we'll probably bring that around one more time, and then we'll tie that off. And one thing you do want to make sure of, or just kind of keep an eye on, is that when you're doing this, it can, when you're trying to tighten it on it, it can spin around the hook. And so you just want to make sure you're aware of that, so that doesn't happen too often. All right, so we have the first feather tied in, and I'm just going to kind of come back on it a little bit and make sure we're good there. And then we'll take our second feather. I've kind of sorted through some of the feathers ahead of time here so that we're not picking through. You'll find that depends on what kind you buy or what have you, but the variety sometimes in packs varies greatly, and you won't necessarily get, really usable feathers in all your packs. Some have the thicker stems, which are really difficult to palmer or to wrap. So yeah, just be aware of that. And yeah. But we're just gonna continue like this all the way up the shank of the hook until the base of the ball head here. Just sort of standard issue, wrap, brush back, and then tie off, and then start with another feather. And I really prefer this method as opposed to just tying directly in. I think it just gives it a bit of a fuller look. The way the marabou presents, and yeah, it's perhaps a little more time consuming, but that's part of the game. And we'll just snip off that. Yeah. And we'll tie this off. So these are actually for an order I'm doing for somebody, which is why I have to do like 20 of these. 20 of these in black, 10 in white, and then another 8, I think, in brown and orange. And so I thought, well, if I'm doing all these anyways, may as well just make a video on it. Yeah. And so basically that's what you want to do. You just want to keep on doing that feather after feather until you get to the base of the hook. Or pardon me, until you get to the base of the head. Okay, so now we have the marabou up to the base of the head, and we've tied a little bit of a collar on there. And now we're just going to add our purple wane flash. And if you've ever tied with this stuff, you will know that it's very sort of clingy, very static clingy type stuff. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt actually to tie with. But we're going to try to tie this in without getting any of the fibers of the marabou trapped. And so we just put it on like that. Kind of very standard, sort of, nothing fancy here. And then fold it back over. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And again, I'm just taking a few. I don't want it to be overkill or anything. Just a few longer strands. And even that, what I've just taken there is probably take about half of that. There we go. And so I'll just line that up. I just want those on the sides, so I'll line that up like that. And try not to get the marabou stuck or this wrapped in the just 2 kind of looser wraps, and then bend it back. All right, and then we'll just kind of pull that back, and now we'll make proper collar, make sure we cover all that up, anything that's sort of sticking out. That should be good. And then we're going to whip finish, and then after we whip finish, you know, we'll take it out. We'll snip those longer purple wing and flash off, just to sort of the bottom of the marabou. We don't want them really coming out past that. And that should be good. Push that tight. Give that a snip. And we'll just go like this and give these a snip here. Okay, we'll put that back in, and we'll just give it a little dab of some UV resin. Some thin is what I'm using here. And obviously try not to get the marabou caught up in there at all. Otherwise, you know, it gets to looking. I'm just using my paper clip here now to my paper clip / bodkin. To spread that around a bit, and we'll give it a blast with the light here a bit. I have forgotten to put batteries in here, so it's not very bright, but it'll be all right nonetheless. But yeah, there you have it. Just a very sort of standard, typical your kind of classic black marabou jig. Pretty simple to tie. It is, you know, wrapping around so many times does take some time, but there you have it. One of the most classic smallmouth hair jigs you'll ever see. So anyways, folks, thanks for watching. I appreciate the views. Give it a like if you liked it. Tell your friends to subscribe. So as I said, hopefully in the future, we'll have some fishing videos out there for you. I'm not sure exactly, again, the consistency of my video posting in the next little while here, but hopefully you'll stick around and be there when I do post another one. So thanks a lot for watching. Take care, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.